And if you could please state your name for the record.
Penny Miller.
And traditional spelling of both?
Yes.
Okay. I have to ask now. There are a lot of different spellings. So now, Ms. Miller, how are you employed?
Relating to this case or
Well-
in the real world?
I guess you could tell us in the real world both.
Okay. In the real world, I manage hotels for a living.
Okay?
I'm sorry, I couldn't understand. I couldn't hear.
In my real life.
Okay, so pull that microphone down. I think that's the thing.
Is that better?
That's better.
Okay.
Okay,
In
so I
my-
couldn't hear. Say again.
In my everyday life, I manage hotels for a living.
Okay. And what do you do, I guess, in relation to this case?
I am a CASA volunteer.
Okay. What is CASA? Let's explain that first.
CASA is court-appointed special advocate.
All right. And how long have you been a CASA?
Roughly 12 years.
Now, what does a CASA do?
We are appointed through the juvenile court to children who are in care, maybe coming into care, and we advocate for the child. We interview and review and get as much information as possible and write a recommendation to the court.
Is CASA part of defects?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Is CASA part of law enforcement?
No, ma'am.
Is it part of juvenile court?
No, ma'am. We are our own entity, separate from all of them.
Okay. Do you work cases with those agencies?
Not with.
Okay.
They do their thing, we do our thing. And sometimes our paths will cross, sometimes our paths will be against each other. Sometimes we're in compliance with each other, a lot of times, sometimes we're not.
Okay. Now, when does CASA get involved in a case?
To the best of my knowledge. If it was up to Northwest Georgia CASA, every child that comes into care or is part of a case plan would have a CASA. Not possible, just not enough volunteers. So the children that have for lack of a better word, the worst cases take priority in having a CASA assigned to them.
And you said you're assigned by the juvenile court judge?
We
Or
are
judge.
given a court order by the juvenile judge, yes.
Okay. Now, are you specifically assigned, or is it just that the judge says that they want a CASA involved?
That can be one way that it happens. If a judge feels like a child would be better served to have one, they can request one. But CASA itself determines which volunteer. There are paid CASA employees who are in charge of matching up children with volunteers.
Is there any type of training that you have to undergo to become a CASA?
Yes.
And what is that?
To start with, you have to have 30-plus hours of training, 10-plus hours of court observation. You have to be at least 21 years of age. You have to pass state and federal background checks. You have to have reference checks, and you have to pass defects checks. And then you have to be sworn in by a judge. That's to become a CASA. And then we have to maintain a minimum of 12-plus hours of training annually.
And now you've stated that you are a volunteer. Do you get paid for being a CASA?
No, ma'am.
Is there some sort of ultimate goal that you have as a CASA?
To advocate for the child, for the best outcome for the child.
Now, were you ever involved in a case involving a child by the name of Jamison Timms?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, what was your role in working with Jamison?
I was the CASA assigned to Jamison.
Now, what were your duties as the CASA on Jamison Timms' case?
We are required to meet with the child monthly, but in order to turn in an effective report recommendation to the court, I made contact with everyone I possibly could, with his parents, his placement, his grandparents, friends of the family, great-grandparents, Anybody and everybody that I could find. I attended juvenile court hearings. I sat through the expert witness testimony. I reviewed medical records. I'm not a doctor. But I did everything I could to compile as much information as I could.
Now, you stated that you did speak to the family.
Yes,
You specifically spoke to Brady and Carrie Timms.
repeatedly, yes.
Did they indicate to you at any time that during the time that these injuries occurred to Jameson, that anyone else was caring for Jameson?
Exactly the opposite. They were very adamant that Carrie was the sole caregiver and that he was never without his Carrie or Brady.
Now, you said that you attended the hearings. I guess that those hearings, were those the juvenile court hearings?
Yes, ma'am.
Were there any statements about whether, by Carrie, about whether had caused these injuries or not?
No, ma'am.
Do you remember anything being testified to about that topic?
I just remember that was just ruled out as being a problem because he was never left alone with Jameson.
Did anyone ever make any statements about anyone else coming into the home to cause these injuries?
No, ma'am.
Now, did CASA have an opinion about who should have custody of Jameson throughout this process?
We did.
Okay, and
We
what
did.
was that?
We felt like were a very good placement for Jameson, but we felt like he should probably be in a third-party daycare because of the access that Carrie specifically had to the child. She was at the home daily for hours at a time.
And why were you concerned about that?
There was no other option for the cause of harm than Carrie and Brady Timms.
Now, you said that you went to home visits.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, what home did you go and visit?
I went to the home and I also went to the Timms home.
How often did you go to the home?
I recall specifically going twice to the home.
And were there Jameson's things there when you were there?
There was, Mrs. showed myself and my coordinator at the time, the room that was set up for Jameson, and there was a rocker, a dresser, a baby bed, and several pictures of Carrie, Brady, Jameson, but there were no diapers, no onesies, no, the stuff that comes with babies, there was nothing like that in the room.
Was that concerning to you?
It was concerning, and then when you add in that the younger child looked up, we were talking about the baby, and he said Brady and Carrie brought him to us.
Okay. How long was CASA involved with this case?
I got my order in late February, and he would have been my case until we came to this courtroom, which would have been in August of the same year.
Okay. So is CASA is not involved anymore?
Correct.
Did you ever issue a report in this case?
I did.
Okay. And what was your recommendation as far as Jameson was concerned?
That defects remain involved and that he start a third-party daycare and that he not be returned to the home.
Did CASA wish to keep your case open when it was closed?
Yes,
And why was that?
for there to be some oversight for the safety of Jameson.
Mr. Hood?
Good Good afternoon, Ms. Miller.
Hi.
You understand, I presume, that as to my client and his wife, that this is the real world.
Yes,
You understand that?
yes.
Okay.
And Judge Hood, this is also the real world for me.
Uh,
It was just a
wait,
turn of
wait, wait,
phrase.
just a minute. Wait just a minute.
Well, you seem to imply that it wasn't.
No,
So
sir.
I'm just making sure.
No, sir.
Okay. You indicated that, I'm assuming that this is your opinion, that there was no other option for the cause of harm.
That was not just my random opinion. There was multiple doctors that testified in juvenile court.
Okay, well, you understand that that's what we're here to have a trial about,
Yes, sir.
okay? And did you ever speak to or hear from any doctor in this case that didn't come from CHOA?
I read reports from doctors that Mrs. Timms had provided me with.
Okay. Did you ever speak to any of those doctors?
No, sir.
Did you ever visit any of those doctors?
No, sir.
Did you ever call any of those doctors?
No, sir.
Are you aware of the results of any of the genetic testing?
I am aware that the testing from CHOA indicated there was one genetic factor for Jameson, but it was not one of concern. I am aware that Rebecca Evans told me that.
I'm not asking you what Rebecca Evans told you.
Okay. Other information that I was given was that Carrie Timms was tested as a child and was found negative.
Okay. What about Brady Timms?
I'm unaware of him being tested for anything.
Okay. If I told you that he has been, would that surprise you?
No, sir. Wouldn't
What about
surprise me.
Brady Timms' father?
I'm unaware of that either.
Okay. So if there are relevant genetic findings as to Brady Timms and his father, you're completely unaware of that?
Right. The only ones that I'm aware of are his half-sister.
Okay. Are you aware of the genetic variant that it's undisputed in this case that Jameson has?
I am not, other than the hospital stated it was irrelevant.
Okay. When you say the hospital, which hospital?
CHOA.
Okay. If there are other genetic experts who disagree with that, would that surprise you?
It would not surprise me.
But you haven't heard from them and you haven't spoken with them.
Correct.
But you're positive that they're the cause of harm in this case.
An opinion is just that, an opinion. The information I was given, even from the Timms, was that there was no other option, no other person was around the child to injure him.
Well, you're assuming, are you not, that the injuries that you're describing are in fact injuries that were caused by another person? Correct?
It is a safe assumption based on medical testimony given.
It's your safe assumption based on a very, very incomplete investigation, is it not?
I don't believe so, no.
You don't. You've spoken to no doctor or heard from no doctor outside of CHOA involved in this case, and you're telling me that you think that that's an adequate basis to make that opinion very forthrightly to this jury, as you have done repeatedly.
The pediatrician that the Timms employed also indicated the injuries were inflicted.
Who is that?
I would have to have my notes, but Ms. Timms even testified in juvenile court that when she took Jameson in for the mark under his tongue, her pediatrician told her he would have to report it as child abuse.
I understand. We've heard all that. Okay.
I haven't been in here, I don't know what you've heard.
Would it surprise you to know, or would it surprise you to hear, let me rephrase that there are other physicians in this case that have been consulted that don't agree with that assessment?
It wouldn't surprise me because I couldn't imagine we'd be in this courtroom if there wasn't two sides.
Okay. But given that, you're sure that the only possible explanation for harm to this child came from those folks sitting at that table right there?
Based on the information I've had, yes.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am.
Ms. Bernard?
afternoon, Ms. Miller.
Hi.
All right, so you've been a CASA for 12 years, is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
So approximately how many contacts with CHOA and its doctors would you say you've had during that time?
I know factually at least 4.
Okay. Do you recall which doctors from CHOA you've spoken to?
I do not.
So you first became involved in this case in late February of 2022, is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
So when is the first time you laid eyes on Jamison Timms?
It would have been shortly thereafter.
Okay. Do you remember where it was where you laid eyes on him?
It would have probably been at the homes.
Okay. And what was your observation of Jamison's physical condition?
He was a healthy little boy. He was playing in a little bouncer seat type thing.
Okay. It didn't look like he was in pain or discomfort.
No, not at that time.
Were there times you did observe him that he appeared to be in pain or discomfort?
No, ma'am.
Did you observe any injuries on Jamison?
No, ma'am.
And now, you testified a little bit earlier that it's your belief that only the worst cases get CASAs in Gordon County.
Those are the priorities.
Okay.
That's not the only ones.
So when you got this case, did you assume it was one of the worst ones since you had been assigned it?
I did not, because I've also had, like I said, those are priorities. The goal is for every child in care to have a volunteer.
Okay. And so let's talk about the goals. You are in a position to have an opinion on, what is best for the safety of Jamison, right?
Yes,
And so in some of these cases, you believe that it's not safe for the child to be with his parents, right?
correct.
Okay. And so in that case, you think they need to be adopted out to another family, right?
No. Georgia is a reunification state. Our goal is to get the parents the resources they need to parent their child safely.
Okay. Do you know what is your adoption rate in these cases?
I do not know.
You've never offered that at any trainings or anything like that?
Not that I can recall.
Okay. But you have given trainings, right? In the course of your work as a CASA?
I have spoken at trainings, but I am not a trainer.
Okay. What kind of things have you spoken about at the trainings?
Just different things to expect, how many hours you're going to put in, what kind of work you're going to do, what you may encounter, things like that.
Okay. And you mentioned that you're only, so when you visited Jamison at the house, did you look in any of the drawers of the dresser?
No, I did not.
Okay. So did you think that maybe that might be where diapers and things were kept?
Well, the rest of the home was a very lived-in home. The other children's bedroom was a very lived-in bedroom.
So, but that's a no, you didn't look in any of the drawers, you're just making the assumption and trying to tell the jury that somehow we're lying to you and the court?
I did
Is
not
that your
say that.
implication?
I did not say that.
Well, but are you trying to imply it?
I'm not trying to imply anything. I was answering a question.
Okay, well, so my question is, what were you trying to suggest when you said that you didn't see any diapers in the room?
That I did not see any diapers in the room.
Okay. And so how many home visits did you make to the,
I believe 2.
so just 2? Were my client, Carrie or Brady Timms, present for either of those?
They were not.
Did you ever meet with Brady or Carrie Timms?
Yes.
Okay. At the CASA office?
No, at their home.
Okay. So you had the opportunity to observe their home?
Yes.
And you didn't observe any safety concerns there, did you?
No.
You didn't observe anyone behaving abusively, right?
No.
You didn't observe any kind of troubling behavior or interactions at all, did you?
No.
So why were you so convinced that these people had committed horrible crimes against their child.
Their child had horrible injuries, and the only people that were in proximity of the child were them.
Okay, so you said horrible injuries, right?
Yes.
Okay, so did you see any photographs of these horrible injuries?
No.
How did you know they were horrible injuries?
Compression fractures of the spine would indicate a horrible injury.
Well, and certainly you would want to get some medical treatment if you had a horrible injury on a tiny baby, right?
I would assume. I don't know what the extent of that medical treatment would be for that.
Okay. Well, but you would assume there would be some kind of medical treatment for a horrible injury.
I'm not a doctor.
Well, I mean, but you are saying that this is the reason that you have come to this conclusion about these folks. And so I'm just trying to look into how you formed this belief that Jamison Timms suffered horrible injuries.
I think it's a safe assumption that a compressed vertebrae fracture is a horrible injury.
So did you ever speak to the foster mother who took care of Jamison and took him home from the hospital at CHOA in January of 2022?
I personally did not know,
Why not?
because she was out of the picture by the time I came into the picture.
But she would have had valuable information about the condition that Jamison was in when he was brought to CHOA, right?
I wouldn't make that assumption.
Why not?
I'm not one that normally makes assumptions.
You're making the assumption that Jamison was subjected and had horrible injuries. You had the opportunity to speak to someone who could have easily confirmed Jamison's state at the time he was taken into care. Why did you not do that?
Well, we're going to disagree on the fact that I made an assumption about that. There were medical records that said that, so that was not an assumption. That was a fact that was handed to me.
So why didn't you speak to the foster mother?
There was testimony given as to what transpired with the foster mother, so I did not feel that it was necessary to delve more deeply into that.
Okay, was the testimony given by the foster mother?
No, it was given by DFACS.
Okay, so let me ask again. You mentioned that your role as a CASA is to make contact with all of the people who are going to have information about Jamison and the condition that he's in, right? So you make contact with the parents and the grandparents and the great-grandparents, you attend the court hearings, you review the medical records. But you never thought to speak to the woman who took Jamison in her arms and carried him home from the hospital and had him for 6 days after these alleged horrible injuries were inflicted on him?
It just didn't happen.
Okay. Did you reach out to Rebecca Evans or did she reach out to you?
I reached out to her.
Who else did you reach out to in this case?
I spoke to Rebecca Evans, I spoke to Connie Miller, I spoke to Renee and Stacy Worthington. There were several of the Tim's friends who sent me emails. I did not reach out to them. I'm mentally going through my notes that I don't have.
Did you review your notes in preparation for your testimony today?
My notes were subpoenaed and I don't have access to them.
Subpoenaed by the district attorney's
Yes.
office? They didn't go over it with you?
We had a brief meeting.
What did you talk about at the meeting?
Pretty much everything we've spoke about in this courtroom.
Did they show you any of the pictures of Jamison's horrible injuries?
No.
Did you ever speak to any of the nurses or the DFACS liaison at CHOA?
No.
Did you visit any other locations in connection with your investigation of the circumstances of Jamison Thames?
Not that I recall. Oh, no, I'm sorry.
Oh, yes.
I did. I went to Brady Tim's mother's home.
And was this the grandmother that they were offering to move into their home during the pendency of the juvenile proceeding?
I'm unaware of them offering to move the grandmother into their home.
Okay. So, did any of these people give you any information about Jamison being in an unsafe situation?
They all reiterated over and over again that Carrie was the sole caregiver and that he was only ever with Carrie or Brady Timms.
Okay, but, so that wasn't my question. My question was, did any of them ever give you any information that made you concerned about the safety of Jamison Thames?
I had conversations with a couple of people that were concerning.
Which people?
Mr. Tim's ex-wife and Mrs. Tim's mother.
Rebecca Evans?
Yes, ma'am.
Who works for DFAX?
I'm unaware of that.
Okay. You didn't mention in your list of people that you talked to anything about any exes or anything, did you?
Again, this has been 3 years ago and I don't have access to my notes.
Okay, but did you make a record of these things?
I'm sure I did. I'm sure they're probably in my notes.
Okay, would these have been handwritten notes maybe that you took?
I'm sure they would have, yes.
Okay. All right. Now, did you ever tell my client that this was an open and shut case?
Not that I recall.
Okay, did you ever say that to anybody about this case?
Not that I recall.
And the prosecutor has some of our witnesses if they have any dislike for my client or her husband. Did you develop a dislike for my client or her husband?
I have no personal feelings toward either one of them.
Okay. And did you ever testify in any of the hearings?
No.
Is that usual for you as a CASA?
In all of my years, I've only testified maybe 3 times.
Did you ever speak to Dr. Verena Brown?
Is that the doctor from CHOA?
She is a doctor at CHOA, yeah.
I just confirmed, I spoke with her to confirm the reports that I had.
And she basically said, these reports are the reports that I made?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, but she didn't show you any pictures?
No, ma'am.
Did she tell you anything about the health status of Jameson in January of 2022 when she examined him?
Not that I recall.
Okay. So did she tell you that he was a clinically well baby?
Not that I recall.
Does that sound compatible with the notion of having horrible injuries to you?
Well, like I said, I don't recall her saying those things, so I don't.
Well, let's assume she did. Let's assume that she said that Jameson was a clinically well baby when she examined him on January 14th of 2022. Does that match up with your assessment of him having horrible injuries on January 14th, 2022?
Well, I wouldn't make those assumptions. I'm not a doctor, and that's not a conversation she and I had.
Okay. Well, but you are offering an opinion on the safety of Jameson Timms, right?
I did in juvenile court, yes.
Okay. Well, have you done any work or investigation subsequent to that?
No, ma'am.
So I guess when was the time period that you were investigating this case so that you could do the best job possible for Jameson?
From the end of February until August.
And you haven't done any subsequent
No, ma'am.
investigation? And your biggest concern about the home of Brittany and Jake was the possibility that Carrie Timms was spending time with her son there?
There was a good bit of access. Yes, ma'am.
And you thought there should be no access?
I thought there should be a stronger supervised access.
For any reason beyond what you believed to be horrible injuries that had been inflicted on Jameson? Anything that you had observed personally causing you to make that conclusion?
The home had 3 other children. Mrs. worked from home. So there's just no way she could have strongly supervised Mrs. Timms with the baby. Not with 3 small children in the home, working from home. That's a lot going on for anybody.
Okay, and I suppose your theory was that Carrie was coming to the home to abuse her child?
No, my theory was that an abused child should be protected in every way.
Okay, well, by being prevented from having access to his mother?
Never said he should be prevented access.
Well, you said that he should be taken away and placed in a third-party daycare instead of the home of his aunt and uncle with his mom coming over and spending time with him. So would you agree that you were saying he needed less time with his mom?
No, that's not what I was saying.
Then please tell me how you would characterize your recommendation about the third-party daycare.
It was my belief that Carrie Timms was being allowed too much unsupervised access to the child.
And yet, during all this time that you believed she was having too much unsupervised access to her child, you did not observe any injuries or damage or bad outcomes with Jameson whatsoever, did you?
After the child was taken from the Timms home, he did not experience any other injuries.
Okay, but that during that time, you believed he was having too much contact with his mom, right?
My fear was that harm could come to him again without stronger supervision.
Well, right, we definitely understand that that's your belief. What I'm trying to get to are the facts that you relied on in order to come to that conclusion. And so that's why I'm asking you, during this period of time where you believe that Carrie Timms had too much access to her own son in the home of Jameson's aunt and uncle, there were no injuries, no concerns, no bad outcomes for Jameson whatsoever?
Again, I wanted this access to be more supervised so as not to allow for further harm.
Right, I understand that, but I'll ask my question one more time.
Maybe ask it a different way because I'm not understanding what it is you want me to say.
I mean, I want you to tell the jury the truth about your interactions with Jameson and Carrie and Brady Timms. And so, if I am understanding you correctly, during this period of time that Jameson Timms was placed with his aunt and uncle, you believed his mother had too much access to him. you wanted him taken away from his aunt and uncle's home and placed in a third-party daycare, correct? Just, it's a yes or no question.
But it's not.
It actually is.
But it's
During
not.
the
Well, let me say this, so Ms. Bernard is allowed to ask a question. You can answer the question, and then you can explain your answer.
Okay.
So if you'll answer her question, and then you can explain your answer.
And respectfully, Your Honor, I feel like I've done that.
Well, I didn't hear the answer then, so repeat it again for me.
Okay. So during this period of time, from February 2022 to August 2022, let's see if we can break it up. Jamison Timms was placed with his aunt and uncle, Brittany and Jake, right?
Yes.
During this period of time, you believed that Carrie Timms had too much access to her son because she was coming over and spending a lot of time with him at his aunt and uncle's house, correct?
Too much unsupervised access.
So she was over at the aunt and uncle's house, spending time with her son, and you believed she had too much unsupervised access to her son, correct?
Potentially, yes.
You thought that the answer to this was to force Jamison to go to a third-party daycare instead of spending time with his aunt, uncle, cousins, and mother, correct?
No, the Bullocks were already looking for third-party daycare for Jamison.
But that was your recommendation,
No,
right?
that was prior to my recommendation.
Well, but I'm asking about your recommendation. So that was your recommendation that you previously testified to, is that you thought they needed to go to a third-party daycare, and CASA recommends Jamison start at daycare as soon as possible, right?
That was my recommendation in correlation with what was going on at placement.
Okay. And what was going on at that placement was Carrie Timms was spending time with her son, right?
And Mrs. was looking for a third-party daycare for Jamison. She
Okay.
even asked me to make calls to help her look for one.
Okay, and, you're not, hearsay is not admissible. You can't testify to what other people told you, especially if it's not responsive to a question that I'm asking you. So let's try to stay on track with the question here.
Yes, ma'am.
So during this period of time, from February to August, were there any injuries to Jamison?
Again, there were no more injuries to Jamison after he was removed from the Timms home.
But while he was having, in your opinion, too much unsupervised contact with his mother?
Correct.
Okay, no further questions. Thank you, Ms. Miller.
Thank you, Ms. Bernard. Ms. Law, anything else of this witness?
Yes, briefly, Your Honor. Ms. Miller, did you have the opportunity to go back to the home after the time when you saw the room where you didn't see diapers and things like that?
I recall going twice, yes.
Okay. So the first time, was that the time that you were just talking about when I was up here asking you questions before?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Did the state of that room change the next time you went there?
The next time I went there, there was a bottle sitting on the dresser.
Okay. So did it change, I guess, in your
Not in
opinion?
any other way.
Okay. All right. No further questions.
Mr. Hood, anything else of this witness?
Very briefly, Judge. Mr. How is he employed?
He is a state patrol officer.
And how long was this child in the residence?
To the best of my knowledge, 6 months.
Okay. And within that 6 months, when did you form the opinion or the belief that this child needed to be removed from?
I never said the child needed to be removed from the residence.
When did you form the belief or the opinion that the child needed to be spending its time at a third-party daycare?
That was, I can't tell you the exact date of that happening.
Well, how far into the 6 months?
I don't know.
You don't know?
No, sir.
At some point?
Obviously.
A day, a week?
Sir, this was 3 years ago.
So, just so that I'm clear, you obviously had and are expressing some concerns about the safety of this child who was residing in the home of a Georgia State Trooper.
Okay. I never had concerns about the home.
Well, you thought they were not being appropriate caregivers
No, sir,
for
that's
this
not what I
child.
said.
You thought they were giving Carrie Timms too much access to this child.
Still not what I said. I said that it would be very easily for Mrs. with all of her responsibilities to become distracted and not able to accurately supervise Mrs. Timms with Jameson.
Which would mean she was not appropriately supervising Jameson, correct?
Not to any detriment of her own.
What on earth does that mean?
She was doing the best she could.
Okay. So the answer to my question is yes. You felt like she could not adequately supervise Jameson.
Correct.
Okay. That's all you had to say. Was Mr. there at any of these
I met
times when
with
you were
Mr.
there?
was there one time when I was there, yes.
Was this during the day or the night?
It was during the day.
Okay. Do you know what his work schedule was?
I do not.
Did you ever ask?
I did not.
So you don't know when he was available to assist and when he wasn't?
Based on my conversations with Mrs., he was not there during the day.
Okay. But you don't know what his schedule was?
I do not.
Was he there when Carrie Timms was there?
Based on my conversation, no.
Okay. But you don't know the answer to that. Is that what you're telling me?
I don't know his work schedule is what I'm telling you.
Okay. So he could have been available to assist when Carrie was there in lieu of you recommending a third-party daycare provider, correct?
That was not the information I had.
All right. Thank you, ma'am.
Ms. Bernard, any other questions for this witness?